stop ourselves from implementing it? Why do you want to move the barangay elections?
Bilalamin. Bismillahi wassalatu wassalamu ala rasulillahi. Asyhadu an la ilaha illallah. Asyhadu anna muhammadar rasulullah. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Pagbati po ng kapayapaan at awa at pagmamahal po ng Panginoong nag-iisa sa ating lahat. Musliman po, Hudyo, Lumad, o Kristiyano, lahat po tayo ay iisa po ang ating Panginoon Diyos. Isang magandang umaga po sa inyong lahat. Maraming salamat po at muli po ninyong pinaunlakan ang aming imbitasyon sa araw na ito. At ngayon po ay opisyal na po nating binubuksan ang pagpapatuloy ng ating hybrid public hearing. Nais ko pong ipakilala ang aking pong mga kasama at ginagalang na mga senador na akin pong nagpupugay ang komite na ito. Unang-una po sa anak po ng ama ng federalismo, Senator Coco Pimentel. Senator, magandang umaga po. Baka meron po kayong nais sabihin.
Chairman, magandang umaga.
Magandang umaga po. At kasama din po natin ang senador na aking pong iniidolo, si Senator Bongo. Nandyan po siya kanina, baka babalik. At ang mga kasama din po natin, binabati din po natin ang ating mga resource person ngayong umaga. Ang alamat, Attorney Christian Munsod, former Chairman, Commission on Elections. Magandang umaga po. Attorney Katrina C. Munsod, Professor, Ateneo Law and FEU Law. Executive Director, wala pa yata si Jonathan. Wala pa. Professor Eric Di Torres. Prof, mabuhay po. Kasama din po natin si Mr. Ding Generoso, CONCOM spokesperson and senior technical assistant to the chairman. Kasama din po natin si Attorney Carlos G. Serapio. Siya po ang Advocacy Group Office of Justice Puno. At ang si Dr. Froilan Kalilong, Center for Excellence in Local Governance. Isang magandang umaga po sa inyong lahat. At kasama din po natin si Mr. Orion Perez Dumdum online. Siya po ang Overseas Filipino Worker, Singapore-based, Principal Co-Founder and Lead Convener of the Constitutional Reform and Rectification for Economic and Competitiveness and Transformation, Correct Movement. Mabuhay po. Kahapon po ay naging maalab ang talakayan at ito po ay susundan ko lamang ng konting pananalita at ipapaalala ko po sa ating mga bisita sa committee nito ang atin pong mga patakaran katulad po ng hindi po maaari na direkta ang ating pag-uusap. Kailangan po ay i-address po ninyo sa chairman. Kung meron po kayong nais sabihin sa chairman, hindi po pwedeng direkta para po maiwasan natin ang personalan. At gusto ko din pong ipaalala sa lahat na ito pong ating ginagawa ay para sa bayan, para sa kaalaman ng ating mga kababayan. At hindi po ito nais natin na magpagalingan o nais po natin ay makapagligaw. Ang gusto po natin magkaroon ng mas malalim na kaalaman ang ating kababayan patungkol sa saligang batas. At ang bawat opinion po ay mahalaga. Ang bawat statement ng bawat isa ay isang kaalaman po yan na babaon sa isip ng ating mga kababayan. Sapagkat sa matagal pong panahon, nabalot lamang ng mga malalim na Ingles, malalim na mga batas, na hindi naman masyadong naiintindihan ng ating mga kababayan. Kaya po, hinihingi natin sa ating mga bisita ang, kumbaga nga po, walk the extra mile. Kumbaga, pilitin po natin makapagsalita ng mga Tagalog. O kung English man, wag masyadong malalim para mas maintindihan po ito ng ating mga kababayan. Dahil iisa lang naman po ang gusto natin. Kahapon, nadinig po natin, sinabi ng alamat ni Atty. Christian Monsod, ang gusto ng 1987 Constitution ay makaangat ang mga tao sa barangay. Napakalinaw po niyang sinabi yon. At ganun din po ang sinabi ni Mr. Ding Generoso na sa federalismo, ang binibigyan ng halaga ay yung mga nasa ibaba. Yung binibigyan ng kapangyarihan ay yung mga nasa lokal. Kaya kung atin pong nanamnamin ang bawat sinasabi ng isa, ang gusto po natin ay magkaroon ng kapakanan yung ating mga tinatawag nating mahihirap nating mga kababayan. Napakasarap pong pakinggan at doon po natin simulan ang talakayan natin ngayon sa usapin na yon na maiangat natin yung mga kababayan natin na alam po natin na nakalimutan. Masakit man pong sabihin, sila po talaga yung naiwan. Marami po talagang nagsipag-unlad na, pero yung mga mahihirap ay naging mas mahirap at yung mga mayayaman ay naging mas mayaman. Bibigyan ko lang po ng background. Kahapon ay ipinaliwanag po ng ating alamat ni Atty. Christian Monsod yung 1987 Constitution na sa akin pong pinagmuni-munihang kagabi, ito po'y napakalapit sa 1935 Constitution. Sapagkat nung nagkaroon po sila ng amendment nung 1935, naging bicameral. Nagkaroon ng Senate at Congress. At doon po ay magmula sa original na 6 years term, ay ginawa po nilang 4 years term with re-election ang Pangulo. Doon lang po medyo nagkaiba, no? Dahil doon sa 1987, ginawa naman nilang 6 years term flat ang presidente. Pero dito po, parang ipinanganak yung paghihiwalay ng executive at ng legislative. At dito rin po parang ipinanganak na yung tinatawag po natin na unitary form of government. Ngayon po, noong 1973 Constitution, ito naman po yung pinakamalapit sa federalismo na isinusulong ng ating mga kapatid na si Mr. Ding Generoso, sapagkat dito po ay ang gusto po nila ay bumalik sa parliamentary na pinag-iisa ang legislative at ang executive. At doon po, magmumula doon, ay ipapanganak yung tinatawag na federalismo. Ito po yung dalawang pinag-uusapan natin ngayon. Yung tinatawag na unitary presidential form of government na may sentrong gobyerno at merong federalismo na magbibigay ng kapangyarihan sa local government o sa region. Kaya kailangan po, mga mahal kong kababayan, ay pakinggan po natin mabuti ang bawat sasabihin ng ating mga panauhin sapagkat ito'y kayamanan ng ating kaisipan. Uulitin ko lang po, magmula po nung panahon ng Amerikano, tayo po ay nagkaroon na ng 5 konstitusyon. Una po, yung 1935 Constitution. Sumunod po, nung panahon ng Hapon, 1943 Constitution. Sumunod po ang 1973 Constitution. Nung nanalo po si Pangulong Cory Aquino, nagkaroon po tayo ng Freedom Constitution at nagkaroon din po tayo. Sa ngayon, ang ginagamit po natin ay ang 1987 Constitution. Ngayon, uumpisahan na po natin ang hindi natin natapos kahapon. Kahapon po ay nagsasalita, nagbibigay ng mungkahi ang ating bisita mula po sa Singapore at naputol po tayo. Hindi po nakasagot ang ating bisita na si Attorney Christian Munsod at si Attorney Katrina si Munsod. Hindi po sila nakasagot. Kaya doon po natin uumpisahan ang ating talakayan. Pagkatapos po noon ng maikling palitan ng mungkahi ng dalawang panig ng Attorney Munsod at ni Orion Perez. Pagkatapos po noon, itutuloy na po natin ang presentasyon ni Mr. Ding Generoso. At pagkatapos po noon, magbibigay po ng mungkahi uli si Attorney Christian Munsod sa gagawin pong presentasyon ni Mr. Ding Generoso. Pagkatapos po noon ay magbibigay naman ng presentasyon si Orion na magbibigay naman po ng kanyang opinion si Attorney Christian Munsod. Yun lang po, Attorney, yung pong inyong rebuttal kahapon.
Hi, good morning. I'm Katrina Monsod. Thank you for letting me speak, Chairman, and I want to commend you for the manner of these proceedings. I want to start sa mga analogy na binigay kahapon, yung mga sa Subic, sa basketball. Yung nahihirapan ako sa mga ibang analogies tungkol sa gobyerno kasi minsan talagang it doesn't fit. So, but it's helpful. So, alam mo yung analogy na yung parang Subic, kung bakit sinasabi yung mga tao na parang bakit yung mga Pinoy parang masunurin sa ibang bansa? O ba't masunurin sa Subic sa mga traffic? Hindi sa Metro Manila. I always ask that kasi lagi akong nagmamaneho at, So, I want to say na parang, alam mo, that's a good example of how structure doesn't change behavior. The structure is the same. The traffic laws are the same. Mas lalo na traffic all over the world. Pretty much the same. Pare-pareho yung mga stop sign. Pero ba't sa Manila, hindi sumusunod? Pero sa Subic. So, ibig sabihin, yung dahilan is something else. It's not the law. Baka mas malawak yung mga roads. Baka mas maraming police. Baka sa implementation. Same with basketball. Sa alam ko, I'm not basketball, but alam ko kung natatala yung team, nagpapalitan talaga ng coach. Dapat you take out the coach or you change the players. But it's a good analogy because, again, the rules of basketball don't change. The basketball game, it's always the same. And if you notice, you don't change the rules of basketball kasi malilito yung mga fans. Diba? Kaya minsan may mga 24 shot clock rule. That was once in a long time. Because you don't want to confuse the fans. You want everyone to enjoy the game. What you don't want to confuse is strategy. A team loses because mali yung strategy. Same rules, everybody, but mas malakas yung ibang team kaysa sa iba. Ibang strategy, ibang players. Ganun lang. The rules are all the same. Um, but just talking about analogies, I've been teaching a long time, but I teach constitutional law. I've been teaching international law. I teach transitional justice. Yun yung mga batas na pagkatapos ng war, yung mga horrific events niya after Yugoslavia, after South Africa, after the EDSA revolution. And I tell my students, human natural resources comparative. I always tell my students, the Philippines has the best laws. Hindi lang sa constitution, ah. We have good laws. We have good environmental laws. Sinasite kami yung sa mga ibang bansa. Ang galing. We are one of the best in the UN. We represent the elderly, sa mga rights ng elderly. But if you look here, you see lang you try to walk EDSA, challenge mo yung mga senior umakyat dyan sa LRT. Bakit? 'Di ba? We have good laws. So ano nangyari? Is it in the procurement, sa construction? That's not in the law. And I'm talking about basic laws. I'm also talking about that's law. So that's also yung mga that comes out of Congress. We have a good barangay law. What happens is sometimes minsan why do we get in the way? Why do we stop ourselves from implementing it? Why do you want to move the barangay elections? Why do you want to make excuses or exceptions sa mga batas namin mismo? It's the laws there. It's good. So what else is happening? We have better laws than other countries. Mas kompleto. That means we have good legislators. So technically, we actually have a lot of faith in our legislators. So what's happening? 'Di ba? Hindi sa mismo sa batas. But if you want to talk about certain aspects, I just want to rebut certain elements. Is that, for example, when we talk about comparing federalism with other countries, alam mo, I I study comparative constitutions, and when yung mga writers na PhD, when they talk about what's the new, what's the best, number one, they're advising usually, theoretically, yung mga bagong, yung mga bagong democracy, yung mga bagong, the ones who are transitioning. And if you look at the way they talk about federalism, they always say, ito theory lang yan, ah, kasi ang daming counterfactuals. Ibig sabihin, ang daming factors sa indigenous. I mean, ang daming factors talaga. So there are two things that come out. One is that when they're making a constitution or when they're making laws, the ones that succeed are the ones that are closest to our personality, the ones that are closest to our habits, the ones that understand our history. For example, we're not protectionist, yung takot sa dayuhan lang kasi ganun lang may American. But kasi yung mga Pinoy may tendency na we're very friendly to foreigners and minsan we let them get away with more. We treat them a little better than ourselves, minsan. Diba? So, we do have a little protectionist kasi may history naman eh. May basis na matakot na we will be overrun if we give them too much. Anyway, there are other ways to allow foreign direct investment. If you look at World Bank reports, and may I just say the World Bank of the 2018, it doesn't recommend to change the constitution. It says, please invite them in and let go of restrictions. It doesn't say anything about the constitution. It says, and if you look at other World Bank reports, because you don't just read one, you read many, right? And they talk about when they say invite foreign direct investment, they don't talk about just limits and shares. They talk about why they're not coming in, labor, contracts, interconnection of the internet. It's all of those other things. It's not shares of stock. And as we mentioned, there are ways that legislature itself can change it. Di ba? Kaya naman eh. Kaya naman. And I'm telling you, if you're going to change to federal, the Congress has to study it anyway. Gagawin naman nila uli eh. So why not now? Kaya naman eh. If you look at the way the Constitution is written, the way that unitary federal, tagal na wala, I mean, we are one of the first. Actually, our constitution is was one of the first to make things different. 1987. Why? Because our constitution has some federal features. We have sharing of natural resources. If you look at our autonomy, it just says they have local autonomy. Who defines autonomy? Congress. They made a local government code giving the powers to LGU. If you want more autonomy, and I want, because I like the idea of federalism na every region has control. Yung COVID, di ba, you have IATF, and there were so many people, so many municipalities that had their own initiative.
Opo, katulad ng Cebu.
Yeah, di ba?
Gigil na gigil si Governor.
Diba? And then hindi maano kasi, no, you have to follow. Bakit? Di ba? The local has knowledge of what they can do. They have knowledge, ay mas maraming tricycle dito, o gamitin namin, di ba? So, like that. But Congress can do it. They can say, no, IATF, let's say, guidelines lang. Why not? The Constitution, the executive has supervision, not control over the local governments. If you want to give power to local governments, Congress can give it. I'm just saying that sometimes means Congress has to step back, the executive has to step back. But if you want to give it, you can give it. There's nothing in the Constitution that prevents it. You can make regional councils, the regions, the governors can have a council, they can talk about it, like the mayors of Manila, Makati. They can agree. You don't have to elect a leader. The UN's like that. They appoint one in rotation. You can do that. Congress can make one, give it. You can make constitutional courts if you want. I'm just saying that's worth studying. You're going to study it anyway. You can do it. Our constitution has so many flexibilities. It has parliamentary features. It has federalist features. We have autonomous regions. That's what it was a transitional constitution. That's kind of a federal feature. We have two. I'm just saying it's there. The reason why sometimes we don't trust a new constitution is because you had all the tools. Why aren't you using that? So it makes us wonder, why do you want to change the constitution for all those things when you can do it now? There's a checklist of features that the Puno Commission, that all the others that our colleagues have of what we want to change. You can actually do it now. More empowerment for local government, just give it. Yeah, the anti-dynasty law, I did read, thank you. That's a very interesting study by Pablo Kerubin. I just want to correct a little. He did not say that the 1987 caused political dynasty. He just said term limits did not limit transfer. Ibig sabihin medyo status quo. But also you have to understand that the 1987 Constitution was supposed to be read with in the hopes that Congress would make a political dynasty law. So together, that might have worked. I'm just saying. You know, a lot of other countries do look to us kasi we have a nice constitution. It's just funny. Kasi ang daming flexibility. The new countries that have federalism, they call it federalism. There's so many kinds. There are 4 general types. 2 of them are actually parang unitary. There's so many kinds of parliamentary systems. I'm just saying, sometimes it's the name. Name lang ang sinasabi, federal. But like Nepal, parang hindi na federal. South African, technically hindi yan federal. Russia, parang monarchy, pero federal. It's not the name, it's the features that you want. And we have the features here. Our colleagues have really good, and I'm all for local autonomy talaga. I want everything that a federal constitution has, except I don't want to have to change the constitution to do it. And the thing is, you can, is what I'm saying. The World Bank report, we read it, and my father also worked with the World Bank. That's a funny thing. And I'm just saying, when you read these things, you don't just pick out things. Number one, it doesn't say that exactly. And number two, there are so many things that report. I'm glad I read it, actually, because he had Mr. Mansod, Mr. My father, Attorney Christian Mansod, um, was pointing out to me earlier. I think you'd explain it better about what you read about that World Bank is that it's talking about competition and productivity. And there's a fact there that's very interesting. It's that between 2007 to, 2016, productivity went up of labor, but no wages. Where did the money go? It went to profit. Where was Congress there? That's not the Constitution. That's implementing labor laws properly. I don't know. It's something to discuss. It's something to think about, right? And when we talk about the golden years in the 90s, no one is attributing that to the Constitution. How come now, when it might be bad, they're blaming the Constitution for that? I'm just saying, it's all a lot of revisions. There's so many things wrong. No, I don't want to say that. I want to say there's so many things we can do better, and I agree. I used to be a federalist until the cost of changing that constitution is like changing the basketball rules in the middle or whatever, mid-season. You're like, wait, baka it's just the strategy that we're mali. Baka we're not using our tools. The last analogy is this. When you talk about structure changing behavior, my phone, I don't know how often you change it. I don't change it that often, but I've been using it for a long time. And you give someone a new phone, and if you don't learn it, you're not going to use all the features. You will use it exactly the way you did 10 years ago. Text lang, picture lang. You're not going to use scan. You have all the powers given to you, but if you don't know, you don't change your behavior, you're not going to make use of it. There's so much power. So I'm just saying, that's all I have to say in rebuttal. Thank you, Chair.
Maraming salamat po, Ma'am Katrina, na number 5 sa bar exam.
Uh,
Gusto ko lamang pong kilalanin ang atin pong Senator Bongo. Idol Senator. Habang hinaantay po natin si Senator Bongo, nagtataas po ng kamay si Sir Orion Perez Dumdum. Sir Orion.
Okay, mawalang galang po, Mr. Chairman. I would like to address the notes that were mentioned by the daughter of the esteemed resource person from Dasmariñas village. So basically, Attorney Mansod, the daughter, thinks that it's all about having the same
Sorry,
laws
my
that we
name
were
is
talking about.
Katrina. Thank you. My name is Katrina.
Okay. All right.